I'll never forget. I kind of call it like my rebirth. That was September 1st, 2022. And it was just like, hey, like, no, something's not working. This just isn't working. So I just tore everything down to the ground and kind of rebuilt myself back up.
Boom! Hey, everybody. I know you're excited to dive headfirst into this video, especially after that opening mic drop moment. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up. This interview between myself and Mike Banks was recorded about a year ago. So this is Russell from the future, just coming to you, giving you a little bit of perspective that the information that we're going to cover was 100% relevant. But I do know Mike and I talk about some market conditions, some market numbers, but just take those with a little grain of salt. Each market is different. Each market changes, markets pivot, but just wanted to give you a little perspective before you dive head first. All right, Frank, cue up the interview. Hey, Mike Banks, how are you? Good to see you, my brother. How are things? Happy New Year, first and foremost.
Yeah, likewise. Happy New Year as well.
Yeah, I know we're breaking a cardinal sin by we're dating this, this evergreen content by talking about New Year. But, let's be honest, we're recording this very early into 2024 and everybody is, having their New Year's resolutions and everybody's doing their sugar detoxes and everybody's drinking more water and all that kind of stuff. So I have to warn you, I may have to hit pause a couple times because I have to drink a gallon. Like I have to drink a gallon of water a day. So I'm doing the 75 hard challenge. Have you ever heard of that?
I was going to ask, yeah, you're doing the gallon a day. I figured you might have been doing that challenge.
I did it. I started it 6 times and I've completed it. Sorry, this one I'm doing now is the 6th time I've started. I've completed twice and hopefully I'm going to be 3 for 6. So I'll be 50%. So what are we?
Not bad.
A couple days in, but 75 hard is nothing compared to the journey that you were on recently, my friend. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at you, and, we know each other. We know of each other. Your brother, Brian, has been on the podcast a couple times. I don't even recognize you anymore. You look completely different. So what's been going on in your life, my brother? What's been happening?
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's crazy to say that. I've been hearing that a little bit, especially people like I don't go to my office a lot, and every time I do, people are like, "Well, what happened to you? You're half the person."
So you've been on a journey over the past little while, and I got some. You just completed your first. Now, if I'm making any. Hopefully you're not an Ironman snob or a triathlon snob. If I have some wrong terminology and stuff like that, please correct me on this because I think there's an entire culture of triathletes and Ironmen and things like that. But you just completed your first Ironman triathlete, did you not?
First full Ironman, yeah.
First full. So let me back up. What does that mean?
So there's multiple distances in Ironman. So they consider the long distances, the long courses is 70.3 miles and up. So that's half Ironman. Full Ironman is 140.6. But yeah, don't worry if you get any terminology or any language wrong. Like I'm as much a triathlon noob as anybody. Like, when I started swimming, I didn't even have goggles. My grandma asked me to get out of the way because I was too slow in the pool. When I signed up for the race, I didn't even own a bike. I didn't own a bicycle and I'm signing up for this event that a big part of it's riding a bicycle.
Wow. So you just finished. When did you finish it?
Yeah. So November 19th was the full Ironman. To say a journey, to say it was a journey is a good way to put it, I guess, because I was actually supposed to do Penticton end of August, but that race was canceled because of the wildfires. Obviously everything happened. So I had to train all over again, not completely all over again, because I had obviously a pretty incredible base from building up to the first attempt. But it was definitely a mental and physical toll to go through 3 to 4 months of training all over again, because the training load is insane. Okay.
Well, we're definitely going to unpack that because I'm a firm believer in, how you do something is how you do everything. And high performers in one area are high performers in another, and that's one of the main reasons we will talk real estate here because you're an outstanding real estate professional. But I really want to get into the mindset of really what decided that you wanted to do that. But before we get into that backstory, the Ironman, is that a brand name? Is that something that most people know of? Is just a brand of something, and what does that mean?
Yeah, and again, like I might be getting some of this stuff wrong too because I'm kind of new myself. But yeah, Ironman it's a company, it's a brand. the distance of the distance has kind of become the brand and vice versa. So the distance of 2.4 mile swim, no, 2.4, 2.4 is 3.9. I can't remember the distances anymore. But 112 mile bike and full marathon, so 26.2 mile run.
And that's over like 12 years that you have to complete that, or
No, 17 hours. That's all you get.
I mean they cap it if you don't finish it at a time.
Yeah.
They just turn the lights off and tell everybody to go home.
Essentially, yeah. You'll get plugged. If you don't hit certain cutoff times at certain portions of the race, you get pulled off the course, basically.
Wow.
It just, hey, look, you're not going to finish because you won't, right? Like, and that actually, unfortunately, happened to a friend of mine. Which,
how long did it take you? How long did you do it in?
I was 11 hours, 15 minutes, 18 seconds, I believe.
Wow. So, and pretty much nonstop swim, bike, run, like you're going full time. Holy
Pretty
crap.
much, yeah. Yeah, like I had to stop on the bike. Ideally on the bike, you pee at least twice because you're hydrated. So I was right on par with that.
Well, and you also have to have a nervous poo before you start too, obviously, right?
Well, some people do. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into that part of it, but no, I actually avoided that because a lot of it leading up to the race is, your diet, your nutrition is pretty much a big part of how you perform during training and during the race. So leading up to a race of this, you really, like I call it fiber deloading. So I'm really bringing down my fiber content leading up to the race.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so we'll get into a lot of the nuances, and it's funny how the book I'm reading right now is Tim Grover's Winning. I'm sorry, rereading it again. I think I've read it like about 3 or 4 times, and it sounds like a good book. And I've seen it going, well, I'm talking to Mike, so I better talk about winning here a little bit. Right? So, okay, what was like? Did you just wake up one day and just say, "Yeah, what the heck?" You looked over to your lovely wife, and your lovely wife is Brittany, yes. And you looked over and said, well, I think I'm going to just go do the Iron Man over there. What was kind of the moment that you decided to do that?
I mean, so there's a saying, like, behind every Iron Man is an Iron Woman, because, I mean, that saying can't be more true. Like, this past summer, for example, to be like, hey, babe, I'd love to help around the house. I'd love to cut the grass, but I've got an 8-hour bike ride I got to go to. Like, bye. She was a big supporter in allowing me to do it. Like I really like, you mentioned earlier, looking different is as much as I've like lost weight and I look better. It's more how I feel like mentally. That's been the biggest transformation. And one of the big driving factors of doing this is just building back up that confidence, building back up, keeping commitments to yourself, setting goals, finishing them, doing hard things, proving to yourself that you can do hard things, all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, basically, long story short, the inspiration was I'm a runner. I've always been a runner on and off throughout my life, but I kept getting injured. So as a form of physiotherapy and just cross training, I started swimming, which then led to a little bit of cycling before I slowly introduced running again because I injured my hip, and I really fell in love with swimming and a little bit of cycling. And I thought, you know what? Hey, let's try and do all 3 of these things together. Well, let's try to make running harder by swimming, biking, and then going for a run. So that's kind of what I was looking for out of it. So yeah, like I said earlier, I signed up for Ironman without owning a bike. I didn't swim with goggles in the pool. I was getting passed by grandmas.
So when was that? When was that where you kind of did and kind of made that pivot? So there was no real desperation or inspiration. It was just it was more of an organic. It was an organic leading down a path that this is just the next step.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just looking for that next challenge, right? Like I checked off a pretty big run goal. I did a double marathon, so an ultra marathon, which was 84.4 kilometers I ran all in one go, and thought, you know what, hey, like, this is cool. Let's try something also hard, which triathlon kind of always intrigued me, but I'd never done it, so gave it a shot.
Well, how long ago was that?
So that was in August of 2022. That's basically when shit kind of hit the proverbial fan for me, just personally, not so much professionally, but just personally, right? Just things you're battling and stress and being overweight, injured.
What was going on?
So
What was happening?
well, just real estate. Real estate is a crazy, crazy business. It can spit you up and chew you out pretty hard, right? It's very demanding and on call. So I was just really neglecting my health, not eating well. My running was slipping, got injured running. So it's kind of time to just tear everything down to the ground and build back up again, basically.
Yeah. So that was, if I get that correct, August 2021?
2022.
2022. Oh, even so you just kind of made that commitment and just decided that you might even be a little bit like me. Sometimes it's like, I have to kill something or it kills me. Right. And that's the way I am sometimes with golf or with real estate or performance or doing a diet process or something. It's just like, I have to, if I'm not all in, I'm out. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I think most entrepreneurial A-type people are like that, right? They're just, it's all in or nothing. So,
but at the same time, it's also very prone to injury. It's also very prone to burnout. It's very prone to a lot of the things that you mentioned before. Sometimes the cure can actually be worse than the original symptoms that you've had as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, addiction goes, it can go both ways. It can be good or bad. And doing, even being addicted to running, which essentially I kind of am, you can push that to the extreme as well too, and run too much and, burn out and get injured. And so, everything was it just kind of all came to a head all at once. And I'll never forget. I kind of call it like my rebirth. That was September 1st, 2022. And it was just like, hey, like, no, something's not working. This just isn't working. So, the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It's just like, I got to do something different. So I just tore everything down to the ground and kind of rebuild myself back up. Yeah.
So, you were reborn in many respects at that time.
Diet, nutrition, just fitness, everything. I call it my 4S actually.
Yeah. What would those be?
Focus, fueling, which is nutrition, which is very important because what you put in your body, it's gasoline for your body, basically. Your function, your daily habits, what you're doing, how you're moving your body, how you recover, and then recovery or finish. How you finish, how you recover. Get ready for that next task, that next workout, whatever it is, right? And that I found doing it with fitness and on myself, working on myself, it really translates into all areas of life, business. Wow. Entrepreneurship, investing, everything.
Well, that's crazy. One of the things I actually made a note when you were talking about too is, there's an old Stoic philosophy that goes something like this: is sometimes when you take your greatest strength to an extreme, it actually can become your greatest weakness. Like, for example, if you have an addiction to something, even though it might be very powerful and it might actually be uplifting and help and things, but taken to an extreme, it actually can become a weakness down the road too.
Well, 100%.
Wow. So what was kind of the process? So so obviously September 1st, 2022, you just woke up and you said, ta-da, I'm here. I am reborn. Let the heavens shine down. Let the and all the doves and the things that were flying around and the heavens open and the choirs were just starting and everything was just perfect that day, wasn't it? So,
it was great. Yeah,
what was the process that you went through to kind of start this journey?
Well, luckily, I don't know if it was by fluke or by design, but like I said, everything kind of came to a head in August 2022. But September was always traditionally a month that I did I call it Sober September. So it's just like a reset month, because as a real estate agent, the spring and summer, that's your make hay while the sunshine time, right? So you're just getting pounded, you're getting pulled in all different directions, clients, and it's a demanding job. So September's always kind of been my reset month where I just say, Sober September, no drinking, purely focus on myself, my diet, my nutrition, everything, just focus on me, get regrouped and ready for the next go around, basically. But what had happened, because I'd done this about 3 or 4 years, but I never actually stuck with it. It was always kind of a yo-yo effect, right? Slowly, especially coming into the Christmas season, you start drinking a little bit again, and then bam, you're back to where you started from. And then the stress of spring, spring market, summer market comes again, and it's just like this repeating over and over again.
Yeah.
Whereas for some reason this time I was just like, you know what? I'm going to continue living like this, and let's see how much. Because I always came out at the end of September feeling so great, and I always thought to myself, like, man, I feel so good. Why don't I just always live like this? But old habits creep up again, right? Whereas like this, 2022 was just like, you know what? No, I'm gonna stop this repeating pattern and just continue to live like this. So yeah, that was over a year and 4 months ago now. So I haven't drank since September 1st, 2022. I've been eating extremely clean, like a whole food plant-based diet. My exercising is 6 days a week. I haven't missed really, other than being like extremely sick. It's the only time I've missed, really.
Wow.
Extremely sick.
Wow. So
I haven't get injured. Knock on wood. I used to get injured all the time. I used to actually take 4 ibuprofens a day just to run.
Wow.
I'm taking single ibuprofen since September 1st, 2022.
Wow. So
yeah.
So there's an awful lot there to unpack. So I have a feeling a good portion of this not only is the exercise, but I imagine the changes you made in diet probably helped out a lot with this, with the inflammation stuff. Like you didn't just wake up one day and you were instantly healthy and fit, but I would imagine all those things stacked on top of each other probably made a huge difference.
Yeah. The compounding effects were insane. It wasn't until about 3 weeks in that I really started to notice, because I'd always, in the sober September, I always cut the drinking, but I never really ate that well. Like I ate a little bit cleaner, but not as clean as I do now. But yeah, about 3 weeks in, it was just like, wow, like especially while running and after running, it was like, man, this is a big notice. And just mentally too, I just, the clarity and the I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain.
Well, that's what's really encouraging is one of the things that most people get really frustrated about by making a lifestyle change for health is they don't typically see results pretty quick, that they get frustrated and then they slip back to old habits. But you're telling me if you stack things and if you do it all in, if you stack your health and your focus and your faith and your fitness and your fueling and your recharging, you can potentially see some noticeable, tangible results within a month.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I said, about 3 weeks in, because I always did at the start of the September, I always did a detox, like a cleanse as well. Yep. The wild rose. I don't know if you heard of the wild rose.
Don't stray too far from a bathroom when you're doing a wild rose cleanse.
Yeah, that's an understatement of the century.
Sorry, I digressed. Didn't mean to get graphic there, but
no, it's all good. No, it's crazy, but So I don't know if it was by design or by just fluke or whatever you want to call it. Because this whole journey it's almost become like a spiritual journey, if anything, because it's just the way I feel and everything. It's just it's crazy. It's night and day compared to where I was and how I felt. Right. But yeah, so with that wild rose detox, they very much encourage, they give you the diet you're supposed to eat with it. And when you look at that diet, it's like, it's very little animal based foods and proteins. But I always thought that was just kind of stupid, right? I love steak and all that kind of stuff. But
well, you're a good old Albertan boy, right?
No, that's just it, right? It's like, how can you be from Alberta and not eat steak? But you mentioned before, like the inflammation, I didn't realize how much like alcohol and certain foods that you eat contributed to inflammation in your body. So that was kind of just that clicking aha moment for me. It was like, as a runner, you're pounding your body, pounding pavement, literally. You're pounding your body, your joints, your muscles. And then you're coming home and you're eating what you think is healthy and what's helping you, but it's actually further making it worse because it's taking the inflammation you already have and then not healing it and actually making it worse.
Wow.
That's why I see like 3 weeks into it, it was just like, holy crap, I can't believe how much better I feel. And I noticed in my running, I was running, the same routes I was doing, but my heart rate was lower. I wasn't as tired. I had more energy, and the recovery was the big one because after the day after the run, I didn't feel sore. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel like my joints were achy or anything like that.
Well, one of the cool things, if I'm hearing this correctly, is you probably had a good solid foundation. Like you would have had a good foundation of being a runner and somebody running, but at the same time, with all the inflammation and all the ibuprofens that you were having to take, and you potentially could have been wearing things down quicker and could have even just exasperating some of the issues. And you could have been, at a young man in your 50s, you'd be able to barely walk around and, chase the grandkids anymore, right?
Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, that's kind of the saying in running is it's easy to start running, but it's hard to keep running because a lot of people get injured and then they drop out or they think it doesn't work or they blow out their knees or their hips. So that's the key. It's just keep running, because running is such a magical thing. It's so beneficial for you. But if you can't keep doing it, you're going to keep enjoying the benefit.
Yeah, I actually did some running when I was younger. My younger days, I was more of a cross country. I'm built more for shorter distance and speed, and not that I'm not making an excuse. Like, not that I couldn't eventually become a runner, but I often make the joke is, if anybody sees me running, you better start running too, because something's probably chasing me. So
that's good.
Okay, so first and foremost, everybody, we're here with Mike Banks, and he's just dropping the fire here. And when fire happens, always bombs get exploded. So, okay. You had that moment, you rebirth, you had that moment of, coming to health is the altar of health, if you will. And that's a good altar to come to. Did you, and I know you mentioned you found like kind of a little dietary plan through a detox program. Did you seek out coaches or guides or mentors, or did you kind of YouTube it, or how did you kind of do it?
Oh man, YouTube. Yeah, I love YouTube. I've watched endless amounts of YouTube on running, health and wellness and diet, documentaries, books. I read tons of books, but accountability is a huge one. So coaching it's paramount in my opinion, right? Accountability is so important. So, and especially when I dove into triathlon, I had no idea what I was doing. So I hired a triathlon specific coach, which was a game changer, absolute game changer. Because with running, I always build my own kind of running plans. I got a little bit of help, but I mostly built my own. But I never really, other just my sheer will and desire, I just kind of bulldoze my way through it. But with having a coach, it was amazing, because I would magically open up the app and there's my whole week. I don't have to think at all, right? Like willpower and decision fatigue. Like the more you have to think about things and plan, your willpower slowly diminishes over time. That's been proven. So yeah, with the coach, you just open up. It's like, okay, Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I'm doing that, Wednesday I'm doing this, Thursday I'm doing that. Like your whole week's planned for you, basically.
So you graduated from, I call it the PhD method. You know what PhD stands for?
Oh, I don't know if I've heard this one.
Pig-headed determination. You graduate from pig-headed determination into more nuanced and more enhancement, and having somebody kind of a more of a guide process and then couple that with your PhD, and you got a pretty powerful combination.
Yeah, totally. I think if I would have hired a running coach in the beginning, I probably would have avoided all the mistakes. I made every mistake in the book, like running too fast, running too hard, always being in zone 5, heart rate always maxed out, not doing that slow aerobic base work.
I would imagine as you kind of went in your journey and you sit there, go, well, I got the running part down. And then probably as you got into more detail and nuance and higher level and higher performance comes lower tolerances with things. You probably go, geez, my gait was off. I'm not a good runner. And then you had to rebuild your run too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And with triathlon, especially introducing swimming. Swimming is what keeps most people out of triathlon. Rightfully so, because I was terrified. the first open water swim I ever did.
The dog paddle? You perfected the dog paddle?
Oh, nice. I got out to the middle of the lake. I'll never forget. I got out to the middle of the lake, and for some reason just kind of clicked. I looked up, looked around, like, okay, shore is really far that way. It's really far that way. It's really far that way. It's really far that way. I don't have a life jacket on. The lake is 100 feet deep below me. What the hell am I doing out here? And then panic, just instant panic sets in, because you're like, what if I cramp? What if I drown? Oh my God, all these crazy irrational fears start popping in your head, right? So that was a really cool experience to go through, is facing that fear and that challenge and overcoming it and realizing, it's not that bad. Was
that the hardest discipline to kind of, pardon upon, jump into?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Swimming is insanely technical. Like anybody, I thought I was a good swimmer. Like most people, you grow up going to the lake, you splash around and, swim to the dock and back and jump off the back of the boat. Yeah, I can swim. But swimming competitively, efficiently, and far is a whole different ball.
Yeah, with 7,000 other people whapping you on the head, doing their stroke and all that kind of thing too. So you're telling me your training at Pigeon Lake when you're growing up just didn't quite cut it for doing open water swimming?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like I said,
where was the competition? It was in Arizona, was it not?
Yeah, Tempe, just south of Scottsdale, just outside of Phoenix.
Okay, so I guess the temperature would have been reasonable at that time of year, I would imagine, for doing that.
Yeah, it was great. One of the things I've heard about that race, though, is the water is notoriously very cold. Like people coming out of the water talking about hypothermic type conditions, which I don't know if that was just because a lot of these people are coming from warmer climates in the US. Because when I look at the water temperatures, I'm like, that bad. And that's pretty much what it's like here in Alberta. But we did have unusually warm water when I raced, which was nice.
So are you hooked, hook, line, and sinker? Are you in? Are you doing it? Are you registered for the next one already?
Not yet, because I'm trying to decide if I want to do. So here's the thing with endurance sport is, it is very addicting, but once it's like anything, right? It's like business. It's like investing. It's like anything. There's always someone who's gone a little bit farther, who's a little bit faster. So if you end up chasing that, there's no end in sight, right? Because there's always going to be someone better. So you got to just focus on you, run your own race. But that's what I'm kind of stuck in right now is, do I go faster or do I go farther? The going farther it's intriguing, but it's also a dangerous path because, like I said, it doesn't end. You know, like people are, oh yeah, it's crazy you did an Ironman. I look at it like, well, no, it's really not that crazy because more other people have done it. There was, I was running with a guy who was 65 years old. It was his 6th Ironman. Who am I? I'm not even 40 yet, and I did an Ironman. Like, big deal. This guy's 65, and he's almost beating me.
Wow. So there's hope for us old guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Like the running joke in triathlon, actually in general, is that it is a middle-aged older sport because it just the dedication required and the time required to train. When you're in your young 20s, you can barely afford to pay rent. You don't have time to go for an 8-hour bike ride because you're working all the time, right?
Yep. So it's the midlife crisis sport.
It's that too. Yeah, there's a lot of people going through the midlife crisis, and then also the means and resources to be able to buy some of this gear.
I would imagine in order to take the time to train, to get the gear, to travel, to spend 8 hours plus a day training is a huge commitment. And I would imagine you had to build up your training process to get to almost doing a full Ironman by the time you had to start doing it.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. In the swimming, you build up to a full distance in your swim training. Biking, same thing. Running, you never actually run the full amount because running is a lot more taxing on the body. So it's not advised to run a full marathon in your training.
Yep.
Because the recovery is a lot harder, whereas biking is less taxing. So swimming. But yeah, like I've been to the 2 triathlons that I was in, the Calgary Half Ironman and then the full Ironman in Arizona. Each time when I racked my bike, I'm looking 4 or 5 bikes up and down. There's a couple $100,000 of bikes just in bicycles. Like some of these people's bicycles are worth more than vehicles.
Oh wow!
I know people that have over $40,000 in bicycles. That's crazy.
Yes, I guess it would be a serious financial commitment, not only just the time and stuff like that. There would be a financial commitment to it as well. And thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. And by all means, we're not even finished the conversation here today. I wanted to just what was some of the biggest lessons that you took away from this? That okay, let me back up. Let me ask a better question. The majority of the people that are going to be listening and watching this will be real estate investors, first and foremost, but every one of them are high performers. They want more. They want more out of life. They want better relationships. They want better marriages. They want more real estate. They want 100 properties. They want to vacation harder. They want more with a lot of that. What were some of the biggest lessons you've took from your journey to get to your first Ironman, first of many, and that you would can apply across all spectrums of life?
Wow, that's a deep, loaded question. I mean, the biggest thing I learned is because I am one of those people, right? Everything I do, I want to do it all in, including being a realtor, all that stuff, right? Which is part of the reason why my health took the ass kicking that it took, because I'm so focused on income and, got to win these awards and be the top producer and blah, blah, blah. You fail to realize it's like the oxygen mask theory that everybody loves to talk about, right? Is if you put your own oxygen mask on first, you can't help anybody. You're going to be unconscious or dead. So yeah, it was a big big, like almost like I said earlier, almost a spiritual experience and journey just to realize, how important your health is, especially like, I'm not even that old, but I've had some people around me. My friend who's 39 just passed away a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago, actually, of cancer. So it just kind of opens your eyes that, your health is so important. So important. You can always buy another product, always do another deal as a realtor, but you cannot buy another day. So taking care of yourself is all about just limiting those risks to disease and preventing them as best you can, right? Giving yourself the best shot to live a long, healthy, happy life.
Wow. So really just prioritization of self as a starting point. And you said something very early on in this process too, which I made a note of and I hit head on, was run your own race.
Yeah.
I would imagine in a high ultra competitive culture of triathletes, it could be very toxic at the same time of that too. And I would imagine running your own race and prioritizing your health would be very, very key in this as well.
Yeah. It's massively important to run your own race because it's so easy to compare, right? Especially with social media now. Social media it's a great tool, but it's also a very dangerous tool. And it can be very toxic because, especially the way the algorithms are feeding your feed, right? Because as you're clicking on stuff and interacting, it's just showing you more and more of that. So you kind of end up in this echo chamber, and you can get to a point where you're comparing yourself to everybody else, right?
Yeah, these stupid little phone devices can be. It's one of the habits I'm trying to break myself, and embarrassing to say, I was starting to get really bad going on my phone before bed. Like in the bedroom before bed, watching YouTube. I'm researching, Mike. I am doing my research, and then it's just terrible. And then eventually, that's what I decided. One of the habits I'm going to change this year, and I think I saw this from you. You introduced me to Streaks app. It's called Streaks app, and tracking your habits and tracking a win streak of things. And that's one of the things I'm telling everybody on my podcast to hold me accountable to this, everybody, I do not, the only time my phone can ever come into the bedroom anymore is if it's in a piece of clothing that maybe if I'm going to have a shower or something, but it does not get turned on. I removed the charging station. I removed everything out of there. It has to be plugged in down. It has to be an entire floor away from me if I'm going to sleep. So. Right.
Yeah. No, it's solid. Yeah. I mean, keeping your phone out of the bedroom and the bathroom. You want to earn back some time? Just don't turn the phone into those two places.
But we're researching, Mike. Come on, it's research. I'm checking. I'm finalizing an offer.
Totally. And then next thing you know, you're scrolling. Because it happens to everybody, right? Because it happens to me. I go to check an email or whatever, and then next, before I know it, just automatically you're scrolling Instagram or something, or scrolling Facebook. How did I end up here?
Yeah.
How did I get here?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. It really isn't, especially if you ever watch anything like The Social Dilemma or any of those kind of things.
Yeah, I love that.
A lot of these things they're designed that way. Like they literally design the dopamine hit. They design these things to keep you scrolling. The algorithm keeps showing you something that you're more interested in. Lo and behold, you're interested in Ironman and triathlons. Yeah. You watch one video, and then the next time you jump onto YouTube, there's 7 more videos recommended for you. So it just keeps you engaged and keeps you hooked on a little tiny little screen.
It's funny you mentioned Social Dilemma, because I really enjoyed that documentary. It was really eye-opening too, because it had a lot of the founders of some of these apps on there that basically said, they had the best intentions when they designed these things. They were supposed to be these social networks, but what they've become is something they're not proud of. And a lot of these, early, I don't know if they were executives or what they were, but wow. I watched that, but a lot of them have since left these companies because they just no longer morally agree what these things have become. Yeah.
Now, easy to say, sometimes difficult to do, but at the same time, it's, this is the message I gave to myself: is you're worth this. You're worth a better sleep. You're worth, and it's so easy, and it's justification. Like, I'm listening to some positive programming in my ear before going to sleep, and listen to something motivational, and then but at the same time, by listening to something, it's keeping you away from your sleep. It's keeping you out of your good REM deep sleep and things like that. And then lo and behold, you got to check your weather app and check the bond check the bond rates and what the heck's happening with the interest rates and stuff like that. And it's a forever ever ending cycle.
So,
now, the only thing that is acceptable is if you're listening to the Russell Westcott podcast, then by all means, please have it on binge and repeat as many as possible.
Well, one of your episodes, I can't remember how long ago it was that I listened to, is it was a great message because it's a mantra that I live by. Is when it comes to social media, you want to be a net creator, not consumer. You want to be like, and I'm terrible because as bad as it sounds, social media is supposed to be social on it. I pretty much go on to social media to post and then I'm off.
Yep.
Which leaves me with a lot of unleft, reply to comments and all that kind of stuff. But like, I post and then I get off. But like, I see, because you can see who watches your stories and you can see all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, come on, like, don't you have anything better to do and watch all these Instagram stories of people? Like, watch your own life. How about
that? Yeah, I heard something Joe Rogan said once, not that I'm perfect with this, is post and ghost is his motto.
Yeah.
Post something cool, and then just ghost, like go away. Yeah. Like don't. I've
never heard that.
Don't engage. Like, but at certain levels, though, sometimes you do need to engage. Depends on obviously, if you're at Joe Rogan's level, you definitely want to post and ghost. But if you get 3 YouTube comments and something like that, you can definitely do that. But don't wait for it and live by it. And the moment it comes on, the next time you post something online, go answer the comments and then be on with your life.
Yeah. Like I know what some people do. What I do, especially with YouTube, is I'll post a video and I'll wait, for a little bit. I'll answer like the first 5 or 10 comments, and then it's like, okay, then you can go away, kind of thing.
Cool. So I want to complete the thought around of some lessons. So any other lessons that you did learn from the triathlete process that you would apply to what you're doing, what's next and what's in your life?
Yeah, totally. Obviously the Ironman mantra is anything is possible. I mean, I always wonder, right? Like these Ironman community, I always thought it was like a cult because it very much seemed like a cult. Like these people, they seemed crazy. They're just beating their chest like, anything's possible. Rah, rah, rah. I was like, but until you live it and go through it, kind of get indoctrinated into it, it's like, okay, I get it, because going through something like that, like you are so much more capable than you think. So that was a huge lesson I taught myself, because when I signed up for the race, like it scared the shit out. God, 3.9 kilometer swim. Like, how am I ever going to do that? And believe me, the morning of the race, a couple days before the race, I ran to the swim course and looked at it. And that was a huge mistake, because when you see 3.9 kilometers in person, from point A to point B, and you need to swim that and realize how long it is, like, oh my God. But here I am. I didn't drown. I made it. I mean, I was scared shitless, but so yeah, doing the hard things. You're capable, so much more. Set huge goals, like goals that scare the shit out of you, because let's say I failed. Let's say I didn't finish my Iron. Like what happened to my friend? She did not complete it. However, she finished the swim, she finished the bike, and she ran a half marathon. So she was like 16 and a half hours into it before she got pulled off the course. Like unbelievable. She'd never gone that distance in her life. So no, she didn't finish the race, but she had failed. By failing, she had done so much more than she thought she was capable of, or a lot of other people thought she was capable of.
And I would imagine, and you probably know the stats or have heard the stats. I don't know them, but I would imagine somebody that has completed an Ironman would be in like a 0.0000 percentile of people, I would imagine.
Yeah. So here's the ironic, very actually interesting stat, though. Is the percentage of people who have completed an Ironman is very small. However, the people who toe the start line and complete is very large. I think it's like over 80% of people that toe the line actually complete their Ironman. And I think that's a testament to just the kind of person that signs up for something like that, right? Like, let's be honest, like you're not a normal person. You're a bit crazy to attempt something like this. You have to be a little bit crazy because it's a crazy undertaking.
Well, that would be let's put it this way. That would be a signal of commitment, right? Is if you have made the commitment to get through that process and the training will probably kill most people just even of itself to get to that point, to get to the starting line. It actually does make sense. It's like the 80-20 rule, right? So 80% or 20% of the people create 80% of the results. But in this case, these are exceptional people. This is like the 80-20 of the 80-20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Pretty much. I mean, ironically though, like, I mean, there's all shapes and sizes there. There's people that I saw in the course that are just like, you know, not to judge, but it was like, are you aware of what what is ahead of you right now?
Yeah. Well, and that's anything in life is how you prepare. Like the more the more you bleed in the training, the less you bleed in war, right? For example, that's
one of my favorite mantras too.
And
right?
I think I butchered it, but I think it's the more you bleed in training,
more sweat practice, the less bleed in war.
That's correct. Yes. Or we can just have all the cliches here, or much rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war, all that kind of stuff, right? So, but then there are some freaks out there like the David Goggins of the world that just literally show up with flip flops and a pack of crackers and a bottle of Gatorade and just go do a 100-mile run, right? So you're not becoming like David Goggins where you're just F-bombing everything, right?
I love David Goggins. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Like you got to take him with a grain of salt. I mean, I quite frankly, I don't even think he's human. I think he's an alien.
Oh, that's if none of you are familiar with what we're talking about, there's a fellow named David Goggins who wrote Can't Hurt Me or Never Finished. Two amazing books. And that is about as hardcore of a human being as hardcore can ever get. Like that is just insane. It's insanity in some cases.
Totally,
But it's holy moly. After you listen to some of his work, it gives a little perspective on, geez, I have to go for a 4-kilometer walk. I think I can endure.
Yeah, totally. Well, not just it, right? Like back to the life lessons, putting yourself through something that's like committing to something like this and completing it. You prove to yourself that you have so much in you. Like when I finished that, when I crossed that finish line, I thought I was going to collapse. That was my plan. Just run to your collapse. But when I finished it, I was like, I feel pretty good. Like I could have kept going. So then it plays back in your mind. Like, could I go farther? Could I have gone faster? Like, because, but you get into like the science and the biological side of it. Like your brain is actually, it's hardwired to protect you. And one of the things that there's this belief of is there's this, a limiter, like a governor in your brain. So it's basically like, it's pacing you. It won't allow you to exert too much energy because it doesn't want you to die, basically. So I think that governor, it's not just an endurance sport, but it's in everything. It's in business, it's in entrepreneurship, it's in everything too, right? There's always that little thing in the back of your head saying, like, trying to protect and keep you safe, because we're running on software from the caveman days when danger was everywhere.
Yeah, I love that analogy of, essentially by doing these difficult things. A couple things, and I'm going to put words in your mouth here. If I'm offside, just by all means, tell me. I would imagine one thing that would be a huge benefit would be honoring your word. Like you said you were going to do something, you made a commitment to do it, and you're going to honor your word. That in definition is confidence. You build that confidence when you keep honoring your word. The other thing is by doing those difficult things, by doing some really difficult things, it stretches you to a new paradigm. It stretches you to a new thought process. It stretches you to a new possibility of what you can and can't do. And, you're going to be sitting there, maybe after you and I have a few more conversations, and you're going to be analyzing 100-unit apartment building and stuff like that. You're going to be saying, no, this is just like when I had to go and do my last triathlon. I had to endure, and I had to really, hunker down and all that kind of stuff too. So, well, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's perfect. Like, so in I don't know if you've read it, I'm sure you've read it. Like you're a well-read guy. Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yep. It's my January. It's on my January every year. I read it too. So
yeah, I've read that book. I've listened to it at least 10 times in audiobook format. I've read it a handful of times. It's one of my, it's the top three book in life, I think.
Yeah. It's a must read it. Everybody always puts so much pressure on January, but and it is totally cliche, and I know how cliche it sounds, but it's a perfect time to have a start again. It's a perfect time for a redo. It's a perfect time to lean into something as well. Like, so just lean into it, read it. And more importantly than read it, implement, do something about it.
Amazing book. And like what you touched on, that's a big theme in that book, right? Is that's what essentially building habits and confidence is just continually proving to yourself that you are the person that says you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. Now, how did you, and I'm going to selfishly ask this question because sometimes I have a hard time talking my wife into I'm not talking my wife into anything. It's just, I'm going golfing and it's going to take me about 4 hours. How did you manage to get your family on board for going for an 8-hour bike ride, my friend?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I had the chat with my family before committing to this, because without them being on board or supporting me, there's no way I could have done it. There's just absolutely no way. And even though everybody, bought in, my wife, especially my kids, they didn't really, know what's going on. They're still young, but yeah, there was still some, I wouldn't say tense moments, but there was still some kind of like, damn Ironman, like, when am I going to get my husband back? Well, sorry, honey, we signed up for this, right?
But I saw one of the things that they were probably you mentioned they were bought in. Like, I saw some of the pictures and videos and you did, the kids were there, your wife was there, everybody was cheering you on and stuff like that. They were alongside you the whole way.
I wanted, especially my kids, I wanted them to be there, right? A big part of this journey was a big part of my driving why for doing this, taking care of myself and trying to be the best version of myself, because I quite frankly was in, a very bad version of myself for too long, is just being that example for my kids and proving to them that you can do hard things and that you're the kind of person that sets goals and finishes them. Just being that example, right? Because kids are very freaking smart. And they were watching, right? And that's kind of what set off this whole journey. I won't go into detail, but there was something that happened with my daughter that I didn't think she knew or was comprehending what was happening. But when she said to my wife, it was just kind of like, holy crap, she notices. Like, she knows what's going on. So that was kind of like, I need to switch this, right? So being that example for them, it's huge, right? So I've very much involved them in the process, but not forcing them, but they've taken their own interest into it too. They're excited. Like, they love doing the high fives and saying hi to other runners on the course and seeing me come by. And yeah, it's been awesome having them part of it.
Oh, that's crazy. That just reminds me of a podcast episode I just released, which I recorded it a year ago for my inner circle clients. And ironically, the person that delivered it was another Mike. And he shared with the group that he was being known as Miserable Mike. Like, he was just miserable. Wow. And everybody in the family was seeing it and all that kind of stuff. And he then, when he set his goals, he doesn't set a result goal. He sets an intention goal. He sets a process goal. And he set the goal that he's going to become a runner, but it was a deeper meaning than just the running. His intention was that he wanted to be a really good dad. And by doing a running and getting into health and shape, he would be an amazing dad that when his 2 children, maybe more coming in the next little while, are trying to break him, physically, because with all the playing, he's going to keep up with them. And that's his intention, is to be a good dad. That's the goal. And the process of his running is to help him become a better dad.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's been a big one for me. Again, from Atomic Habits, right? That's what the big theme in that book is not so much result-based goals, but the process. Focus on the process and the results will take care of themselves.
Right.
Take it themselves. Right. So that's been, like he says, like, the goal isn't to run a marathon. It's to become a runner. It's who you become and why you're doing it. I'm kind of playing with a little bit of health coaching right now. And I've got a couple practice clients. And that's big mantra that I sort of try to portray to them. It's, don't focus on what the goal is, don't focus on the marathon or whatever. It's focus on who and why. Who you're trying to become. Why do you want this change? Because it'll inevitably get hard, as everything always does. When you start out on a journey, you set a big goal. It's easy to sit at the kitchen table and write, I want to make $1 million. Well, yeah, you're sitting at the comfort of your kitchen tables. It's a lot harder. Pick up the damn phone and make those sales calls and do the prospecting, close those deals, right? And then when it gets hard, what most people do, they quit. That whole when we're getting into cliches, the 3 sheep from gold story.
Yeah, listen to us. We're just cliche machines here, right? Yeah. But here's the thing: it's true. Like, it's a truism in many respects, right? Is these cliches are popular because they're true. And many they're a global truth. Now, I just want to be respectful here, Mike. I do have time, but we're kind of getting close to an hour, 50 minutes. I just want to be respectful of your time. Do you have maybe another 20 minutes or so? Okay.
Well, I hope you're getting. I hope this is benefit you and the audience, because.
Well, here's the thing with a lot of this. With a lot of this, it's funny when you put out a podcast. In many respects, you scratch your own itch. In a lot of cases, that I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to have this conversation with you about your experience of doing this and your health experience and the transformation that you went through, because it was inspiring as hell to just watch from afar. And I had my own itch that I wanted to learn from this. So what a better way that I can actually get an hour and a half of your time and say, come on my podcast, Mike, and let's talk about it.
Oh, man. It's big. We can go, so we get off air. We can go down the rabbit hole if you want. But it's an amazing process.
If any of you are out there and you're ever interested in doing a podcast, by all means, it gives you an in to reach out to people, to learn from people. Like one of the ways that I dove into the whole pivot I did within my real estate investing, I'm doing some infill developments, no different than what Brother Brian's doing. And, I interviewed him. I interviewed him person. I found a guy in Calgary. I found like 17 other people, and I just interviewed them, and I just found out kind of what everybody's doing. Everybody wants to talk on a podcast, right? And they'll give you some time. And it's amazing what lessons you can learn if you pay attention while the conversation is going on. So with that, maybe that's a perfect pivot into, I'd be doing a disservice if we didn't chat a little bit of real estate. But so the question I'm going to ask you is for you, are you still active? Are you still an active agent in the St. Albert, Edmonton area?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm coming into my 4th year now, actually.
Did you take a little bit of a pause and step back during the training, or did you just keep plowing forward?
No. So here's, on that topic, actually, just reminded me of another huge lesson I learned out of my journey, right? Is scarcity versus abundance. I know you're a big believer of that, Russell. I remember from the rain days, you always talk about that, right? As having that abundant mindset. There's always another deal, what do they used to say in rain? Deals are like a well-run transit system. There's always another one coming.
Yep.
I used to love that saying. But yeah, the crazy thing is, like, when I look at my numbers, I spent a ridiculous amount of time training just for this Ironman. I think I spent 300 plus hours on the bike. Like,
no, that's just on the bike.
Just on the bike. Yeah, total. It was like over 500 hours or something crazy. So, if you're somebody who has a scarcity mentality, you might think, oh my God, all those hours I could have been sourcing deals, finding, prospecting, marketing, all that stuff, sales call, blah, blah, blah. But it's a whole, we're going to get cliche again. It's a whole sharpening the axe, right? Give me 4 hours or 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. By working on yourself, getting yourself into a position where you're mentally strong and physically strong. I feel unstoppable right now. I feel like I could just fucking take over the world. I feel so good. That now it's kind of like time to attack business, right? But back to what I'm saying is, I did just a little bit less business than I did the previous year, while trading as much as I did. And I can count probably at least 10 deals that I lost because I just wasn't able, because of training. I had to say no. So that was another powerful thing I learned, is for once in my life to say no, right? The power of no, how empowering that is, especially as a real estate agent, because they're getting pulled in all these directions. Hey, I want to see this house. Hey, I want to do this. Hey, everybody wants you to do what they want you to do. But to stand back and say, no, I'm doing me for once. That was incredibly empowering. And yes, I lost deals over it, but I still made pretty damn good income last year while taking care of myself and training as much as I did.
That's awesome. So are you not rebranding? Are you recommitting into real estate hardcore, or are you just kind of the way it's at? Like, how is your realtor business? Where does that fit in for you now after going through this process for the last couple of years?
Yeah. So like most people, when you're investing, you need to make an income. At the end of the day, where your portfolio needs to get to live off the passive income and be full-time, retired real estate investor. If you run the numbers like most people have, you need a lot of real estate, right? So how do you buy that real estate? You either come up with it yourself or you joint venture. I personally like the ownership model of owning myself and not joint venturing so much. So I need to make money to fund buying my real estate and fund my investing, right? So being a real estate agent, to me, it's a pretty good vehicle as far as earning an income, to earn a good, strong income. But my business is very much run, it's a marketing-based business. Because I do YouTube and a lot of SEO and things like that, I don't have to sit at my computer for 4 hours and cold call and dial and hope that somebody's going to want to buy a house from me.
Yep.
I attract people to me.
Nice. And we're definitely gonna unpack your marketing a little bit here and some of the YouTube and things like that. But I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't get a chance to chat with you a little bit about what's happening. Like Mark, and this can be totally top line. We can go as deep as you want. And I know I didn't prep you too much for this, but you're a guy, you're on top of your numbers. Your primary market is St. Albert, correct? But you're very well versed throughout the Edmonton and area.
Yeah.
What's going on in the market out there? Like from a top line, high level perspective, and then we can maybe drill down from there.
Sure. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting market right now because we have low inventory. Sales aren't as strong, but they're still holding strong, but not nearly as strong as they were. Like they didn't dip that much from 2022 to 2023. Like June, let's go back. June 2022 was basically the peak of the COVID market. And that's when interest rates started doing what they were doing, which took the wind out of a lot of people's sales. But what we're seeing right now is a lot of shift to the lower, more affordable type homes. People, plumbers aren't buying $900,000 houses anymore because interest rates aren't 48%. So there's a major shift to that. But yeah, demand is still strong. The population growth in Alberta right now is absolutely insane, like absolutely insane, setting record level type insanity. What did I see the other day was the net interprovincial migration growth into Alberta set not only a provincial record for the highest net interprovincial migration growth for Alberta, but in all of Canada. We had just shy of 185,000 people move here in the last 12 months.
185,000. That's like just gang, give that some perspective. Like find wherever you live in Canada, and I can't remember my population of, say, Saskatoon or something like that, but that's almost the population of Saskatoon getting up there again. I think Saskatoon's a couple hundred, maybe 250, give or take.
Yeah.
But just imagine a town of 185,000 people in your area moving to one place in 1 year.
Absolutely. And what are most of these people doing, right? Not everybody that's coming here is buying a house. So the rental side of things. So that's where, like when I said earlier, with a really weird market is because yes, interest rates have put a little bit of a damper on buyer demand, but demand is still strong because it's made up from so many people moving here. Because for every, there's always two ends of the spectrum, right? Think about the people in Toronto and Vancouver when interest rates go from 1.2, 1.5% to 5%. Now they were priced out of the market at 1.2%.
Yeah.
Now they're at 5%. So a lot of the conversations I'm having with people are people from Ontario and BC who are saying, hey, look, like, Alberta seemed like a cool idea, but now I don't have a choice because I literally cannot afford anything.
Yeah.
So that's why we're seeing the net interprovincial migration numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah. And I would imagine, and you can probably tell me this more because you're on the ground and you interact with buyers and sellers and stuff like that. I believe, and this is just my own speculation a little bit, that there's a little bit of shadow inventory. And I call shadow inventory as somebody who, say, bought in 2006, 2007, 2008 at a peak of a market in Alberta. They tried to hang on for 15 years. It really didn't do much. And finally, they're now at a point right now just going, you know what? The market has come back. I can probably get my money back. And they're pulling the pin and they're just selling inventory off. And from the investor side, not from mom and pop home buyer side. Do you see a little bit of that happening out there? Because I know that the difference in the dynamic is there's still good supply of houses for sale, and they're getting absorbed quite quickly. Like it's not like a Vancouver or Toronto where there's demand, but there's nobody selling. In Edmonton and area, there are people that are very happily selling, people that have owned an apartment building for 20, 30 years, that a lot of people are selling those things now.
Totally. Yeah, seeing it especially with condos, because the condo market, poor people in the condo market, because the condo market's just basically got its butt kicked for the last 10, 12 years. starting to see a little bit of life come back into it because, interest rates forcing people down into more affordable options.
Yeah. But
yeah,
here's the funny thing I keep telling people. In Edmonton, affordable is you can actually get a beautiful house in an affordable in the 300-400. You can get a beautiful brand new construction with a suite house for under $500,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
And out here, that's 1.3 million.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah, so I'm in an interesting position with that because, that's hometown bias, right? You have Edmontonians who cry that the markets, don't move here, Ontario and BC people, don't come here, and you're ruining our market. The market's overheated and prices are too much. Whereas you talk to these BC and Ontario people, and they're just like, wait a minute, can I buy 3 of these things? Like, do you guys take credit card there?
Yeah. Well, it's
not a credit.
It's funny in the conversations I was having with people. It's we're buying land positions, inner city Edmonton, and maybe I should not tell anybody this or do this so I can buy more. And brother Brian probably will tell me to shush on this too. We're buying land positions for under $300,000, and it includes a house. Yeah. And it's 7,500 square feet, a 50 by 150 lot that you can subdivide that sucker. And you can, when you're done, have between 6 and 8 units on it. I'm all in on some of my 6 unit constructions, side by sides, 2 basement suites, 2 garage suites. We're all into those things for under 1.6 million.
Nice.
That's not even one house out here.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Yeah. So I'm dealing with I deal with a good mix. I deal with the family, home buyers and sellers, but I also deal with a lot of investors as well. I'm dealing with an investor right now from Ontario, and he's probably going to pull the trigger on like 3 or 4 lots because, again, just hometown bias. He's looking at it, what it costs to build and acquire the land and to build back home to here. He's like I want to pick up at as many as I can. So yeah, the 600 plus square meter lots right now, especially with the bylaw zoning changes coming in, it's secrets getting out.
Have those now every jurisdiction's a little bit different because I was just chatting with somebody in Fort Saskatchewan and they have different bylaws. Is St. Albert similar to Edmonton, or are they a little bit more restrictive on what can and can't be done?
Yeah, a lot more restrictive. Yeah, St. Albert hasn't quite adopted. It's like Edmonton is pretty much all in.
With Edmonton, you now can have house, suite, and garage suite on one lot. You potentially can have that. Is that possible in St. Albert as well?
It is sometimes, but it's very hard to do.
You have to get a variance on it, type of thing.
Yeah, it's not like in Edmonton. It's not the same.
It's almost a rubber stamp in Edmonton potentially do that. Now, whether that's right or wrong, and there's a lot of people, in my personal opinion, building the wrong places on the wrong lots, and they're building little prison cells that I call them, like tiny little small things with 5 townhomes all smushed together, and there's no parking, and the inner unit, there's one window, and it's just like just because you can doesn't mean you should in many respects. But Edmonton is just phenomenal to work with for adding density in a meaningful way.
Yeah, it's unreal. Like Edmonton is kind of the last stand in Canada, basically, as far as it's a decent place to live. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. It's a pretty good city to live in, but it's extremely affordable, and there's an economy and there's jobs. So here's another interesting thing about the market right now too, Ross, is I never thought I would ever hear this just as a person, let alone as a real estate agent, but I'm now starting to get phone calls from Calgary saying, hey, Mike, what about Edmonton? I'm priced out of Calgary. I'm thinking about moving to Edmonton. Yeah.
Well, that same lot that I said we're getting under 300, and I should be quiet. I should just shut my mouth and not tell everybody about this. But that same lot in Calgary is $600,000 to $700,000 now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the big difference is, all things considered, build costs are similar between the two cities. Yeah. I think it's a little cheaper in Edmonton, but
a little bit. Not by much.
But not a lot. But build costs. So the one big giant variable, the difference is between the land cost. And if you're paying, between $300,000 and $500,000 more for the price of land, that thing that I told you we're buying for building for 1.6 is 2.1 in Calgary. And it generates more rent. Don't get me wrong. It does generate more rent, but not that much more.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, right? Like the rents are a little bit different, but not by much, right? Not so much that it totally skews the numbers where it doesn't make sense anymore, right?
Yeah, I should probably just cut. I'll cut out all that part of that podcast just so I can just share, just so I can keep that for my own personal vault.
Well, don't worry. You've got assholes like me who have entire YouTube channels dedicated to talking about how great Edmonton is. Come here, move here, use me, call me as your realtor.
Your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I noticed the last video was posted 8 months ago, my friend.
Right.
You were like a gold standard of YouTube channels that I was following. You do an amazing job. You have videos that have 26,000. Your most popular one, let's quickly do a search there. You have one of the 135,000 views.
All organic.
Are you coming back to become a YouTube star? What's going on?
Yeah. So here's the weird thing with YouTube is like, I'm not a YouTuber. Like I see it a lot, especially with realtors and investors is like, it's like, what are you trying to be? Are you trying to be a YouTuber or are you trying to be an entrepreneur? They're two different things, right? Are you trying to go viral and get views and subscriptions and AdSense, or are you trying to generate leads for your business? I learned that from
Sunny Lenarduzzi.
There you go. Yeah.
We both belong to her training program.
Yeah. YouTube for Bosses. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that was, so I don't care about views and subs. I care about how many people are phoning me, emailing me, saying, "Hey, Mike, I saw your video. Hey, I want to move to Edmonton. Hey, can you be my realtor?" And that's the crazy thing about YouTube is those videos are evergreen. They live on. I have a video that's over 3.5, I think almost 4 years old, still generating leads.
Yeah. Well, that 135,000 one is 2 years ago. You posted that. The 5 pros and cons of living in Alberta vlog tour. Geez, I think I know the title of my next YouTube video.
Yeah, that video is done extremely well. Yeah, it's done really well for me. So yeah, like again, back to, a lot of realtors, like, I don't know, I'm mixed because I've read the whole thing about YouTube that you need to be consistent and all that, but it's also, it is quality over quantity as well. A lot of my videos, like the granddaddy of all metrics in YouTube is watch time, right? Click-through rate and watch time. Are people clicking your videos and are they actually watching a large percentage of it? And I don't know what it is about my video, but that's happening.
I know and by all means, I still have a small channel, but I keep publishing it and I love putting these videos on it. It's part of my passion project to help inspire people and stuff like that. But my best performing videos have been ones where I've talked about Edmonton and Edmonton real estate investing. And that's where I invest. That's where I attract investment capital. That's what I do with that. And I've secured investment partners through my YouTube channel. And they're by far my most known. That when I run a search on YouTube, and if I type in Edmonton real estate investing, I have 4 of the top 10 videos that pop up in the search. Right.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's funny. It's strange that not enough, in my personal opinion, maybe this should be another one of those secrets we shouldn't tell people. Not enough people do this. Like not enough people own their market. Like if you go there into, and let me back up a sec. I don't even live in Edmonton. Right? Yeah. And I have that channel. So somebody, a real estate investor in Edmonton should be eating my lunch. Like they really should. Because that's my target words are real estate investment, not the real estate market. But somebody who lives there could literally eat my lunch on a daily basis and just go neighborhood by neighborhood and just talk about different things. And I've watched some of your videos where you've done some tours and it literally is just a nice Sony camera where you walk through a house and you just talk numbers on pro formas on a place.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that could be a whole other episode on its own, is real estate marketing for real estate investors, because I think that group of people, for some reason, are still stuck in the Stone Age. They're still, flyering and bandit signs. It's like the predominant marketing strategy for real estate investors. It's like, what are most real estate investors doing, right? If you're looking for money, you're trying to solve somebody's problem. Well, what is, for every problem, there's a solution. And what do most people do when they have a problem? They go to Google and they go to YouTube. They look for a solution. So why you're not there?
Yeah. One of my best performing has been my Edmonton ones, but also one of the best performing ones has been my Calgary versus Edmonton video. Because and one of the reasons why I did it was because I had so many people asking me the question: if I was to go to Alberta, do I pick Calgary or Edmonton? Now, obviously, my answer is a little bit biased, obviously, but at the same time, it's very factual based, and that's where I'm putting our partner's capital to work based upon the numbers, really.
Well, yeah, well, that's a big part of it, right? I like all the Ontario and BC investors that reach out to me. That's a big question too. Was like Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah.
And I just say, look, one, my property that I own is in the Edmonton area. Two, if I had $1 billion in cash right now, I would be buying every apartment building I could in Edmonton, Alberta right now.
Yeah,
right?
No, and we're seeing it too, and it's refreshing to see. Don't get me wrong. And that's one of the things I like to believe is I tell people the truth. I'm honest. There was a time for better part of a decade plus that Edmonton was terrible. Was a terrible place to invest their money. Was a terrible place to buy properties because literally nothing was going on. It was the flat market and no cash flow and stuff like that. And so you had to just deal with problems for a decade. Yeah. That's why I'm very mindful for people in Ontario and British Columbia, just to be mindful that if you had a decade of nothingness, if you had a decade of no appreciation, how excited are you about being a rental housing provider in one of those markets if you had no appreciation?
Yeah, that's a solid point because I have that conversation over and over again with BC and Ontario buyers. It's more coaching than anything. It's like coaching them on what this market is like and what it's actually about. Because if you're expecting, double-digit year-over-year growth and appreciation, 200, I've talked to people that have $400,000 in equity appreciation in a year and a half in those markets. It's like, do not expect that here. At least not right now. Anyways.
Not at the moment. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say no when it happens, and I'm not going to dance a jig, and I'm not going to be over the moon. But I'm not basing decisions upon that at all, because in my opinion, one of the biggest problems we had in Alberta was it went up too fast, too quick. It outstripped its fundamentals. Don't get me started on what happened politically, but we'll just put it in the background. But and we had a lost decade there for between Trudeau at the beginning and then Notley in the middle, and then hopefully Trudeau at the end. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of what Danielle Smith is doing. Holy moly, she's a business leader and she's a firecracker, and she's, love her or hate her, I think she's good for Alberta. I think she's good for Canada, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Now, I do want to be mindful of time, and I do 100% agree that we will book another one, and we will go into maybe just, new world marketing for real estate. It could be real estate agents, could be real estate investors. All things there. We can talk YouTubes and podcasts and all that kind of stuff, because I think you have a lot of deep knowledge. And I believe you also have a film background too, weren't you? Didn't you go to school for video?
Yeah, I went to Vancouver Film School actually. So that's why, naturally, I mean, that's the thing. YouTube's not for everybody because it is, of all the mediums, it's the hardest barrier of entry, I think. The technology, the filming, the editing, the uploading, the tags, the keywords, everything. It's definitely.
Yeah, you think real estate can be a deep rabbit hole to get into video and audio, and even just learning how a bloody DSLR camera does, and the triangle between the ISO and the shutter speed and the aperture and all that kind of f-stops and all that kind of whole. Well, it's an endless. And there's a term, you probably know the term, the term called gear acquisition syndrome. There's a true thing in that about you always have to have a next piece of equipment, right?
Well, the camera I'm sitting on right now, I mean, for it out, look, I got another, I can't just have one camera because this lands on this camera, that lands on that camera. It's like, you really need two cameras.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say I have three of the same ones, but the one I'm using is a lot older. It's a Canon SL3. It was the first entry level that had pass through HDMI. And if that just sounded Greek to everybody, that, like I said, that's an entire other conversation. Well, before we do sign off here, first and foremost, I wanted to just thank you, Mike. This has been a wonderful conversation. I just wanted to just thank you for the incredible journey that you took the audience down. And I wanted to, most importantly, just give you an acknowledgement of, I maybe never posted once on your stuff and never posted anything on that, but I watched from afar, and every time I saw something, I was just going, holy shit, that's inspiring. I was giving you a virtual high five every time I saw a picture, every time I was rooting for you, all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to just acknowledge how inspiring what you just went through, that journey you went through.
Well, I appreciate that. It's doable for anybody, right? Like, again, back to who and why. Like, who do you want to become? Why do you want it? Why is the most important thing? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to change?
Nice.
You know, unfortunately, most people, they get to a point where it's kind of forced. It's like, hey, you need, and that's where the best change comes from. It's like, you know, that rock bottom, if you want to call it, moment.
Well, the one advice I would give about rock bottom that not a lot of people talk about rock bottom is a lot of people say, well, you hit rock bottom and obviously you bounce right back up. It's everything's great. Usually when you hit rock bottom, you get drug along the bottom for quite a while. Yeah. But there eventually comes a time where you change the trajectory and you do start coming up from rock bottom as well. And what's the old saying is sometimes rock bottom is the place, the foundation to build the next success cycle for you, right?
Or while you're down there, while you're down to the bedrock, why don't you hammer some steel girders into the bedrock and build yourself back out?
Take it up from there.
I'm lucky not a rock bottom. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like.
Well, I think we've covered the most cliches and memes in an hour and a little bit on a podcast of any podcast episode. But before we do go, Mike, you know, once again, I wanted to just thank you for bringing the fire, and you've been bringing it. And I do have one more final question I want to ask you here. And this is a question that I usually leave off at the end for a lot of my listeners. But before we get to there, where's the best place somebody can get a hold of you from? Do you have some contact information? Where's the best place somebody wanted to reach out?
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate the plug. On the real estate side of things, I mean, I'm running a lot and biking and exploring a lot, but I am a very active, still busy real estate agent. Mike Banks Realtor is my Instagram handle. Ironically, I actually post more running stuff than I do real estate stuff.
Well, it's funny. And I was looking through all your stuff. I go, you probably have more. You have such a great head of hair. You probably have more pictures with a backwards hat on than anything else on your entire feed. And if you go check out Mike's feed, you will get the joke. It literally 9 out of 10 photos is Mike with a hat on backwards doing something out there running in some way, shape, or form.
Well, that's another thing I discovered through this, right? Is, you know, at the end of the day, I guess a realtor posting, you know, hey, just listed, just sold, blah, blah, blah. Nobody really cares about that much. But just showing who you are, like being your authentic you. And that's a big part of social media that's been lost because there's so much fakeness on social media. Just be you. Just show your wins, show your losses. People love that stuff. Like you said yourself, you know, you're not commenting and liking. But I know that just because people aren't commenting and liking, that's not what I'm doing it for. But people are watching. People are noticing. And, you know, it's been a cool journey for me too, but also for hearing from other people saying, hey, you inspired me to start running, you inspired me to start eating better.
Yeah. And probably the most important people that are watching are the two little ones in the background too, that watch daddy every day out there making a difference with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the final question I do want to leave you with is, I call it the if somebody is stuck question. That's what I affectionately call it. So if we were sitting here and we're having a coffee, you and I'm sitting here and I'm feeling a little bit stuck, right? I'm just not sure of a next step. I'm not sure of what to do next. I'm just kind of feeling a little anxious and a little bit, you know, a feeling that I just don't know the next step and I'm stuck. What advice would you give to me?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Actually, so I just finished this book, Naval Ravikant. Is that how you say his name? He's a
Naval Ravikant wrote
that's it.
Love Yourself.
Oh man, I wish I would have dove into this guy's content sooner because he's not like, you know, he's not an Elon Musk type entrepreneur. You know, he doesn't have $1 billion net worth or anything like that, multi-billion-dollar net worth. But his wisdom and his philosophy, his just outlook on life is amazing. And yeah, so just finishing that book, one of the really profound quotes from that book I took home was, I'm probably going to butcher it now, but the hard thing is not doing what you want, but knowing, how would it go? Not doing what you, the hardest thing isn't doing what you want to do, it's knowing what you want. So being stuck, like, I mean, just because you're stuck doesn't mean you need to just figure it out. Like, don't be anxious about it because it's okay. It's okay to not know what you want. Like, life is complicated sometimes. I mean, that's where I felt even with my own journey is sometimes I felt like I was chasing other people's goals because they wanted it. I didn't really want it. right? So just spend the time. If you're stuck, just go for a walk, deeply meditate, reflect, and truly figure out what you want before you chase something, because you could end up chasing the wrong thing.
Wow.
Right? And you don't really actually want, that proverbial cliche, the man who chases two rabbits catches none, because they're so damn fast and you go other ways.
Nice. That's deep. That's very profound. Is know what you want, and more importantly, a deeper reason why. Very similar to what the process you went through with your running, and you're entering into becoming a triathlete, and you are 100% a triathlete now, is you are now identify as that. Is that you were sick and tired of what was happening, and you just decided to make that change, and you organically went into it. So, wow.
Well, and that's the other thing. You're, like I said, just reiterate, if you're stuck, like, just don't worry. If it doesn't come to you automatically, don't try to force it. It'll eventually, you'll figure it out. Clarity will be gained, will be found. But you do have to kind of consciously seek it out too.
Yep.
A lot of people don't spend the time to actually sit down and think undistracted, just in a silent room. Like, there's another saying that's like one of the hardest things to do for a person, is to sit in a silent room and just do nothing, because it scares the shit out of us. Like, having something to figure with and to look at.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the silence between the notes that create the music, right? So
there's nothing other than, as entrepreneurs and A-type people, we're always, action. Need to do something. Need to do something now.
Yep.
I don't know. I think stopping and reflecting and just figuring out what you truly want.
But once you find that what you truly want, commit, dive in, both feet. Yeah. Stuck. Pardon the pun. I'm going to use a pun. I'm going to use something in your world. Clip in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And away you go. All right, gang. With that being said, Mike, once again, thank you very much. You're a scholar amongst the real estate community, and I just wanted to thank you. So, gang, wherever you're watching this, by all means, share this out. Reach out to Mike. Reach out to his team if you're interested in looking at something in Edmonton. Mike can definitely help you out along the path. And until the next one, bye for now, everybody. Boom. If you'd like to see a few more videos like this, only a couple simple next steps from here. Number one, subscribe. There will be a link right down here to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss an upcoming episode. And over here will be a hand-picked playlist and a video for you to watch to continue your journey forward. All right, let's go.